Hey, excuse me, have you guys heard of this Marvel Cinematic Universe thing? Pretty crazy stuff, I'd say. They got a guy who turns green, they have a goatee man that does magic tricks, they even have a guy who shoots lightning, and he has a hammer that they do not sell at Home Depot, I already asked. This whole thing is nuts. With over 23 movies, they've made $18 billion. Do you know how many $1 noodle packs you could buy with that money? Probably like 16 or 17 billion, because you have to consider tax, and then I don't know if you decide to tip the cashier, that's up to you. But I mean, you have $18 billion, it wouldn't kill you to spread some of the wealth. But anyway, there's nothing like the MCU out there. There just isn't. It's its own thing. Every single movie studio is trying to have their own version of it though. Hey, how's that Dark Universe coming along? I can't wait to see those Dark Universe movies. It's pretty safe to say that in terms of cinematic universes, Marvel is in a league of their own. And because of that, they can get away with some stuff. That's what this video is all about. Stuff that Marvel gets away with because they're Marvel. Putting out an insane amount of movies.
I'm the man of iron. I'm the cool rich one.
People are always talking about superhero fatigue, like,
oh, I couldn't possibly watch another superhero movie. I'm just too fatigued. Jeffrey, please prepare my bath water.
But the numbers, you know, they tell another tale. Marvel puts out like 2 or 3 superhero movies every year with amazing turnout and amazing reception. 23 movies, and they have an average of 84% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's pretty great. And since the Avengers in 2012, not a single movie has grossed under 500 million. And 7 of them have passed $1 billion, including 2 that passed $2 billion. So how does Marvel get away with putting out so many movies and not succumb to this superhero fatigue everybody's talking about? Well, the Harvard Business Review dug into that. You may have heard of Harvard. It's where that alien created a website that destroyed the fabric of society. HBR analyzed the Marvel blockbuster machine and found that Marvel's success is rooted in 4 key principles. Number 1, they select directors for experienced inexperience. That's another way to say that they hire directors in genres that Marvel are not experts in. You know, they bring in Taika Waititi, this quirky comedy director, to direct Thor. They get Scott Derrickson, this horror director, to do Doctor Strange. Same thing for James Gunn. He was like a low-budget horror guy. Then they give these people a lot of control, so they use all these resources of Marvel to deliver new stuff and keep it fresh. Number 2, they leverage a stable core. Marvel actually uses a lot of the same staff in terms of the core creative group from movie to movie. We're talking like producers and VFX people and crew and stuff. On average, Harvard calculated that it's 25% of the same people from movie to movie. So it's like a little family, you know, a little community, or, you know, a machine. Number 3, they keep challenging the formula. When a movie is successful, a lot of times studios get scared when it comes to making sequels. They're like, no, the original worked, so don't mess with the formula. And you know, that's not always a great move. That's usually not a great move. But Marvel switches it up all the time. Movies are in totally different genres while still under the umbrella of the MCU. Like Winter Soldier, that's kind of like a political spy thriller. The Spider-Man movies are like coming-of-age teen comedies. The Ant-Man movies are heist films. They mix it up. Number 4, they cultivate customers' curiosity. Marvel are masters of building anticipation for their movies. They do this by dropping little end credit scenes that tease stuff to come, or by shoving Easter eggs into movies. Get in there, you Easter eggs! Get in the movie! All this stuff gets people talking online and trying to figure out the puzzle of what's gonna come next. Us YouTube channels, you know, we're here doing our thing. People on Reddit and Twitter and stuff go nuts with theories. All this internet stuff makes us excited for the next MCU movies to see where this whole thing's going. So by following these 4 principles, they can keep churning out new movies and we eat them all up. Fixing mistakes.
I am Arrow Man. I'm the man on the team that shoots arrows.
Plot holes and mistakes and silly things that don't make sense. That happens in pretty much every movie. Like, hey, why didn't NASA train astronauts to become oil drillers instead of training oil drillers to be astronauts? Sorry, this is Michael Bay. I just want to ask you to shut your mouth. And when these things do happen, I mean, usually that's all there is to it. The filmmakers and the producers, they don't really have any course of action other than to just stand around and go,
oh, whoops, whoopsie, whoops, whoopsie, whoops, whoopsie.
But because of the volume of interconnected stuff that Marvel is putting out, if a little problematic moment slips through the cracks, they have the option to try and fix it in another movie. They look at plot holes with the same kind of mentality as Bob the Builder's catchphrase.
The moon landing was faked by the Illuminati.
Okay, wow, that is not his catchphrase.
Keanu Reeves is a vampire who's planning on taking over the world.
Maybe true, but that's also not the catchphrase.
The sewers are crawling with crocodiles, and I saw one once, but I escaped before he could get me.
Okay, look, the catchphrase is "Can we fix it?" I don't know what all that was about. It's "Can we fix it?" Like, for example, the Infinity Gauntlet. They showed that in Thor as like an Easter egg. Like, hey, you guys recognize this from the comics? Pretty cool. But then they were like, oh, we want Thanos, and Thanos needs that thing. So they just threw this line into Thor Ragnarok.
Odin's treasures.
Fake.
Problem solved, you did it. Or like the scepter, it wasn't quite clear how Hydra had gotten a hold of it after the first Avengers movie, and then they explain it explicitly in Endgame. At the beginning of the MCU, they did this too, but they were maybe a little more lazy about it. Like Thor destroys the Bifrost Bridge, his only way to Earth as the climax of his movie, and then he just shows up in the Avengers and they're like, oh yeah, dark magic. And it's like, hey, that kind of undoes the whole emotional climax of Thor, but okay. So basically, if Marvel needs to undo or reframe anything from a previous movie, they totally can. Playing the long game.
I am literally a spider. I lay eggs just constantly.
Marvel realizes that they're gonna be around for a while, and you know, if things keep up, they are. Go ahead and plug Kevin Feige's face into FaceApp. He's probably still gonna be making MCU films when he looks like that. So they have this unique thing where they can set up crazy situations in one movie and then just solve them in a later movie. You know, they're well past that possible sequel drop moment that other movies have. You know, where they toss in a little post-credit scene in case there's a sequel, or like one bad guy escapes because, hey, maybe we're gonna get to make another one, but then a lot of times they don't, so then that movie just has a weird open ending that's never resolved. Happens a lot. But Marvel knows that there are not only gonna be sequels, but also movies in the same universe. So they can just drop in situations that seem impossible to solve and then solve them in a later movie. It'd be tough for a studio that isn't sure if they have a hit or not to just kill half their characters and then end a movie. We'd be like, wait, what? But Marvel knew they were making more movies, so they could do it. And we all know that these things are gonna be resolved, so what kind of becomes more interesting is how they're gonna resolve it. They can drop a little hint in a future movie that's gonna be the key to solving a problem they established in a previous movie, which by the way makes us want to watch all the movies just in case something important is mentioned. Ties into that number 4 cultivate customers' curiosity principle. Like Ant-Man and the Wasp wasn't the most revolutionary movie of all time, couple of good laughs, look how small Paul Rudd is, okay, but they throw in a post-credits scene about time vortexes, suddenly that movie contains the pathway to victory for Avengers Endgame. Like now, see, Gamora is kind of dead, but she's also kinda not. So, you know, you'd better watch all the movies we have coming up to see how we solve that one. They can put out an entire movie that contains a tiny scene about the bigger picture, and we're gonna eat it up. The whole thing is like a TV show, you know? Sure, you can just watch the finale, but you're gonna enjoy it a lot more if you've seen all the episodes leading up to it, Karen. Side note, I don't really know when just adding names like Karen and Janet to stuff became a standard joke format, but I hope that ends soon. So why is this all okay?
I am the captain of most of North America.
Why do we keep forking over billions and billions of dollars to Marvel? People complain all the time about a lack of original movies, but at the same time, you know, Marvel's numbers are not going down, so, you know, money talks and Hollywood listens. Other than just being entertaining movies, for the reasons I mentioned and more, I think a big part of it is also like the ambitiousness of it, right? This kind of thing has never been done before on the big screen, and maybe a part of us wants them to succeed. Maybe you disagree with that and you're going to town in the comments section right now. That's okay. I think another part of it is probably the sunk cost fallacy. If you haven't heard of the sunk cost fallacy, the basic idea is that the more time you invest in something, the harder it is to give that thing up. It's basically the reason why some people are still watching The Walking Dead. If you've seen every single Marvel movie just once each, that means you've spent about 50 hours watching the MCU. It is not super easy to step away from that. Psychologically, we have a hard time accepting that we did that for nothing. So we're probably gonna keep watching for a very long time, and we'll all get excited every time that signature theme song starts up. But at the end of the day, I mean, at least the movies are entertaining though, right? Karen? Thanks for watching this video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. Can you think of anything else that Marvel gets away with because they're Marvel? Are you starting to feel some of that superhero fatigue, or do you see this going on for a while? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and if you could leave a like and maybe share the video, that helps out a lot. Thanks again for watching, guys, and check back soon for a new video.